Actually, I think I have an interesting one. I have Alex from Sweden looks interesting to me.
Alex from Sweden.
Alex from Sweden.
Yeah.
Let's go to Alex from Sweden. Alex, you are live on Talk Heathen. What's up?
What's up, guys? Thank you for taking my call.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. I was thinking last week of calling in. I just had a question. I'm atheist. I try to choose, but my thing is I want to find the truth of things,
Sure.
and I thought for the most I don't want to go into politics, but most of the time I find myself agreeing to a lot of things on what we would call stereotypically the right side, but then they start talking religion, and I'm like, well, that's where you lose me, and I have to go more to the left. So I'm all over the place. But my question really retains to, well, when I talk to people and I try to, if I were to, what is it called, like strongman my opponent, I would say that if there's no claim for reason to be used as to justify God, like I have some Christian friends of mine, and they never said that, okay, or you can say one of my friends, he says it's not that reason isn't good and you can't use reason to get somewhere. It's that you have to forgo reason and just trust blindly. Kind of, I don't know if you're familiar with Kierkegaard, but
yes,
it kind of reminds me a way of what he believes in, that you have to take the leap of faith. And what I know that, because what you could say to that response is, you could say, well, we know that reason has brought us so much more, and I wouldn't deny that. As I said, I'm an atheist. But yeah, what I'm kind of getting is that there's not really anything. Everything is really just labels, right? It's like, yeah, reason is really good, but as a mean of faith, if all I had to do was believe beyond the reasonable, I could see that kind of be an argument that, okay, reason, where somebody says to me, well, I foregoing reason, I believe just to believe. And yeah. If you have some words, I'm kind of rambling right here.
It's an important point. So why are you asking, maybe why is faith such a virtue? Is that kind of your question? Why do people value faith so much?
I actually think it's why do you, well, and also why, if you're coming from the Christian perspective, why is reason such a virtue? I kind of explained that. Okay. Reason is a virtue in the sense, yeah.
There's a historical reason for this.
You could,
and so when we talk about the history of philosophy, particularly Western philosophy, we have this thing called the Enlightenment, right? And the Enlightenment is in part this rediscovery of old texts, particularly Greek texts, right? Where they're kind of looking at this Greek thought, and there's this sort of rebranding of Christianity within Greek thought, particularly with Socrates and Aristotle, right? So like there's this kind of like respect towards these Greek thinkers and through their contributions, but they want to look at it through the Christian lens. And so a lot of Christian theology is, and this is also partially pre what we consider Enlightenment, but particularly post-Enlightenment, there's a lot of this happening, right? And so you kind of do run into these sticky problems. This is what Soren Kierkegaard, as you mentioned, was talking about, and Kierkegaard is coming late into this conversation. He's like, well, we're having this sort of rationalist sort of uprising here, but in response, there's this period of romanticism, right? And Kierkegaard is in the thicket of this. And he says, well, you have to have this leap of faith, because that's all you can do, really. And what I think, this is a very, very, very truncated version of what Kierkegaard is saying. But Kierkegaard is like talking about really his Christian values and his Christian sense of morality, but he's also talking about his sense of like life purpose and meaning, because he finds it very difficult to have a sense of life purpose and meaning outside of outside of a belief in God. And so now that we live in the 21st century and we look back at that, that may seem strange, but like it's more of the world was Christian, right? At least more of the general surroundings. So it's like, how do we even operate and live and understand a world without Christianity being like backing in all of this? And now we realize we can do that. One, we have the Atheist Community of Austin that kind of demonstrates that every time a host is on board. But it's like, okay, we have to figure out and develop life principles that that can operate in a secular way. And that's why a lot of 20th century philosophy is looking at ethics in a secular world, right? Like, how do you even develop that? How do you live that? And what life meaning and purpose is. Like Kierkegaard was kind of saying, well, I think a leap of faith is the best way to do it because it's honest. And yeah, it's honest, but like it can lead you to unreliable conclusions. Kierkegaard saying that because he's a Christian. He's not saying that because he's a Scientologist, or a Muslim, right? We would say, well, that's silly. Why would you have a leap of faith to be, a Scientologist? We would say, oh, that's harmful, right? That's obviously unjust. But we look at that and see, okay, well, that can also happen with Christianity. Anyway, now I'm the one that's rambling here. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah. So I understand what you say, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm my friends always say you're thinking so much. You're going so much into it, but I feel like what I really want the answer to, which I don't think you can give me either. But it's like, so picture this: we're sitting in nothingness. And I know this show, or not, maybe not this show, but the atheist experience is saying like, what even is nothingness? But so if we're sitting in nothingness and you introduce something, you introduce reason. You can use reason a lot, but on the same cue, you can say that you can use faith a lot, at least for the people that believe in faith. And my problem with it is that when people kind of argue that it's wrong to believe in a God, or it's stupid to believe in a God, I think it's kind of I should really have thought over this before I called in, because it's like I'm trying to figure out. Let me put it like this. It's kind of.
Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that because.
Yeah.
So those are kind of buzzwords that catch my attention. So I figured it would be a good time to jump in. But being wrong, is it wrong or is it stupid to believe in a God? I would say that is probably an unfair characterization to people who are actually religious. Now, I know, Dan, I've heard you say in the past that you're not really sure about this term of indoctrination, and it could be used either way. Yeah, indoctrination can be used for a good thing. People who join the military, for example, like myself, volunteer to kind of be indoctrinated a little bit.
Though, Jimmy, I'll point that out there.
Yeah. But I think that a lot of we can't really put blame on people for believing. Usually, I would say it's because people want answers, right? And they want to believe something good. They want to be a part of something good. They want to have meaning to their life beyond what they know, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I would love to know that everything we do, these menial things on this little blue dot in the middle of nothingness, kind of just, well, not really nothingness, but on this little blue planet, everything that we're doing, I'd like to think that there is some kind of importance to it all. And in fact, I don't really know that there is, unless you consider we want to make sure that we all have the best experience we can, because otherwise, what are we even doing? And a lot of people I think genuinely want that, and they genuinely think that they can get that from religion because, well, they were taught that that's how you have to do it. But then again, they were also, very maliciously exposed to that as well. Yeah. And so throughout history, we know of that being the case.
Go ahead, Alex.
I'm sorry. I'm just necessarily adding adjectives here. I didn't mean stupid.
I don't think that you're saying that about people. I'm saying that is a popular characterization.
No, I don't. Yeah. So I just, what I was going to say though, I think maybe makes most sense is that when I was questioning faith in the sense that I was literally questioning my friends about Christianity, the one thing that stuck with me was that when I said it's not reasonable to believe in what you believe, and he told me he never claimed reason, which I thought was interesting. It was kind of the most reasonable thing he said was that I believe I'm with going. I don't know if that's the right word. Like he's choosing to toss away. It's kind of in Indiana Jones when he takes this step, like literally a leap of faith. And there's something, I don't know, there's something intriguing about that. And I'm trying to not that I'm talking about, it's something I believe in God all of a sudden, but there's something that kind of draws me towards that. And I don't know what the end goal is, because that kind of made me see that, well, reason for all what it's done, it's a label within its league. And I feel like when he said that, it showed me at least that maybe it's not right to take reason into something that isn't meant to have reason in it, if you get what I mean.
Yes, I absolutely understand what you mean, Alex. And it's very interesting that you bring up Kierkegaard, because I'm not sure how familiar you are with his work, but he is exactly positing this. He is saying, what if reason actually doesn't matter
I've read
with
him.
our beliefs? Right? What if who cares about reason? What if this is fulfilling to me in something that is beyond reason, which is an interesting idea and an interesting question.
Exactly.
And this is why I sympathize with Kierkegaard. In fact, I really enjoyed the label of, I was sort of a Christian mystic for a while, sort of a Christian existentialist like Kierkegaard before I completely deconstructed, because I thought, this is how I solve my faith, right? This is how I figure this out. I can still take solace in the traditions and the virtues that were taught to me through Christianity, while also not having to have to be answerable to all the unreasonable claims that Christianity makes, which is quite many, right? Here's the problem that I've found with this, and why I haven't stuck with this label. If I have a faith that still relies and still draws from institutions that cause objective harm to everyone around me, I am still complicit in that. Now, I'm not saying individual believers, right, are out committing atrocities on a daily basis because they have beliefs. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if I'm thinking the Christian tradition, particularly Christian institutions, are not only reasonable in some capacity, not even reasonable, but reliable, or even just worth our endeavors or worth our investment, that I am upholding things that have caused harm to people in the past, right? I mean, we don't have to go through all the lists of how Christianity has harmed people, right? Not just in bigotry, but even in just my capacity for intellectual curiosity. I don't want to pick on Charles too much, right? But Charles, our earlier caller, was very much interested in developing and maintaining his relationship with God. But when it comes to this interesting scientific question of how did humans actually, figure this stuff out for themselves, how do they defend themselves, he was very comfortable with leaving it up to God and not having any sort of scientific inquiry. And I think that is something that I like to prevent. I think that's sad in a way. There's so much inquiry we can have by using reason and by using our other tools, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, our faith denies us of that capacity. It kind of says this isn't worth investigation, which I think it is. Anyway, thoughts, Alex?
I have one. Yeah, no, completely what you're saying. It's so funny you took up. I've not read Kierkegaard as much, or Kierkegaard as we say, as much as I would, but I would like to. But I've listened to a lot of lectures about him, and that's kind of the medium I take in the most. And it kind of you hit it on the nail, and yeah, it sounds like he was talking about exactly what I wanted answering. So maybe I should read more on that. I had one last question to you guys.
Of course.
I depart, and as I said, I find myself going between. Try to be a contrarian. I love Christopher Hitchens, and how he was as a character, how he could. He had so many things. Like he was for the invasion of Iraq, and it was like he was on the left side,
Yes.
and he hated tyrants. So it's just so much character there, and it showed that hey, you don't have to be this like
Yes.
in a specific zone to you can have beliefs across lines. But so my question was,
None of us are cookie cutters
and
here at
that's
the
why I
HCA.
love you guys.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, sorry about that.
My question to you guys, because I looked at you guys and I see to me these atheists.
Alex, you still there? Oh no, Alex, I think we lost you. Unfortunately, we do have to let you go because we don't really have a whole lot of time left with that call. So I know you had a final question. Maybe if you want to try to call in a different day, because we're probably going to talk to some other folks right now. But we do appreciate your conversation. I thought it was pretty interesting and ties to a lot of a particular study of interest of mine, which was Kierkegaard, one of my favorite philosophers to talk about. So I like nerding out about that.